Hello everybody, David Schuster here. In the wake of the Trump administration's hastily organized event in Virginia with nearly all U.S. military generals and admirals, Donald Trump is now getting clobbered.
When I first started listening to the speech, I found my mouth open. I just couldn't believe some of the things that were being said to this group of individuals who have such experience.
Trump weirdly spoke at length about his frustration with paper and stationery that he said wasn't thick enough when he took office.
I want the A paper, not the D paper. We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I don't want to use this. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper. I want to use the real gold writing when you talk about the position, and they're beautiful. And, but how would you like to have that where some kid sitting in the back office is having it signed with an auto pen? I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals.
When it comes to policy, Donald Trump spoke about his desire to use the U.S. military on American citizens, while Trump also rambled about Democratic leaders.
We should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor. Stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money.
Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath, a former Marine combat pilot, noted that Trump's speech was filled with lies. And she said the deployment of military troops into U.S. cities is terrifying.
Now, the military has done training in cities before, but that's not what I think he's talking about here. He's talking about using the military in ways that we should not see in America. And I'm very worried about this. I think that the whole part of bringing these generals and admirals back here was to discuss this type of thing. And it should scare us all. This is something that we just don't do in America.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth also spoke to the U.S. military leaders. Hegseth was the Trump official who originally summoned them for this hastily organized conference from all over the world. Hegseth spoke about changing the U.S. military's culture and requiring higher standards.
Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level, we should seek to exceed the standard.
Here is retired Army Brigadier General Steve Anderson.
If you talk about accountability and responsibility, he needs to start with himself. He should have resigned after the Signalgate disaster, where he shared our classified secrets on an unsecure line. Every single person in that room knows that they would have been fired had they done the same thing.
But never mind Hegseth's hypocrisy on policy priorities, the Defense Secretary also made some news. Hegseth spoke about ending previous U.S. alliances and pulling the United States troops back as part of an America First agenda. Again, General Anderson.
But I think that there are some clues he's leaving about refocusing on homeland security and taking away perhaps some of our forward presence and the strength of our alliances overseas. And that really concerns me. I mean, that has kept this world safe for 80 years. I mean, the NATO alliance and the alliances we have in Japan and Korea have kept this world relatively safe for a long time. And for us to come off on that would be a terrible, terrible mistake. And I think that there were probably a couple of clues that he left there to that regard.
Both Hegseth and Trump spoke about getting rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. Hegseth claimed that many of the U.S. military generals and admirals had only gotten to where they are because of favoritism to minorities and women. Retired General Mark Hertling called the remarks on the dismissiveness of the U.S. military insulting.
The other armies of the world say we are the best on the globe. They are well-trained, well-disciplined, and they swear an oath to the Constitution. And I just really find it offensive that anyone is insulting them and claiming that it's their promotions and their advancement through the services are a result of policies or wokeness or DEI, because that's just not true.
A few news organizations reported that some of the active duty military leaders in the audience who wished to remain anonymous called the Trump and Hegseth remarks bizarre, undignified, and a waste of time. And as retired General Hertling pointed out, top military commanders already get together and meet with the president, the commander-in-chief, on a regular basis.
Many people don't know, but the president holds a combatant commanders conference twice a year for all of his major combatant commanders. They normally come in, they have 3 or 4 days in Washington together. It's usually classified because people don't want to know that all the 4-stars and their aides are in one area, but they do it twice a year. So I'm still not sure why this event took place. And it certainly is costly, risky for those who are there, but also risky from the standpoint of how people see us around the globe.
And increasingly around the globe, people see the United States slipping further away from a constitutional democracy and towards a tyrannical authoritarian regime where the only thing that matters is fealty to Donald Trump. There was nothing on this day that is going to break or change that perception. Trump and Hegseth seem determined to turn the clock back on social progress in the U.S. military, and by ordering U.S. troops into U.S. cities and demanding the soldiers use lethal force to attack whoever the Trump administration doesn't like or considers a threat, the historical echoes of fascist regimes are getting louder. The U.S. military has long had a nonpartisan tradition, and in keeping with that, on this day, the assembled military brass sat through the presentations mostly in silence. By the way, a federal judge is lashing out at the Trump U.S. attorney who brought the James Comey indictment.
Lindsey Halligan, the newly installed U.S. attorney who was an associate secretary at the White House and is Donald Trump's former defense attorney and has never prosecuted a case. She brought this case to the grand jury by herself, we are told. She presented for a couple of hours without any help from other prosecutors in the office. At least they weren't presenting the evidence to that grand jury.
The fact that she couldn't find a single assistant U.S. attorney in an office of well over 100 of them is very telling to me. It's also telling that she is the lone person to have signed that indictment. She could not find any career professional to do that.
And when she signed it and filed the indictment with the federal court, Halligan submitted documents that contradicted each other. The magistrate judge, I'm a little confused as to why I was handed 2 things with the same case number that are inconsistent, Ms. Halligan. So I only reviewed one with the 2 counts that our office redrafted when we found out about the two counts that were true billed, and I signed that one. I did not see the other one. I don't know where that came from. The court judge, you didn't see it? Halligan, I did not see that one. The court judge, so your office didn't prepare the indictment that they... Halligan, no, prepared 3 counts. I only signed the 1, the 2 count. I don't know which one with 3 counts you have in your hands. The court judge, it has your signature on it. Halligan, okay, well, check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Wendy, who wrote, surprise, surprise, another unqualified person in the Trump administration. Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth getting shredded for their rambling and bizarre remarks to U.S. military generals who were ordered from around the world to come to Virginia and listen to it all. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.